10.3. So properties of chords. So our first theorem for 10.3 is theorem 10.3, which says in the same circle or in congruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if their corresponding chords are congruent. So over in that circle off to the right, sketch in chord AB. There's chord AB. There's chord BC. And then all this other stuff is just showing you the central angles. So this radius from center to B, center to C just is a central angle. Then this radius to A and to B, again, is that central angle. Okay. So if your chords are congruent, what this theorem tells me then is that the arcs created from them, so your minor arcs, I'm going to highlight, not do that. So that arc is going to be congruent to that arc down there. So arc AB is congruent to arc BC. So if you've got congruent chords, then the minor arcs created by the endpoints of those chords are congruent. It's kind of going to be the philosophy of this whole entire section. There's going to be a lot of things that are congruent, which means we're just going to set a whole lot of things equal to each other. Okay? So if you look at this first example, it says in circle R, AB, well that's a chord, is congruent to CD, which is another chord. The measure of arc AB is 108 degrees. Find the measure of arc CD. Well, what is it? Anybody? 108. Good. So because my chords are congruent, the minor arcs created by those two chords will be congruent. And then it works in reverse. If the arcs were congruent, then I would know that the chords would be congruent, right? Okay, that's 10.3. 10.4. If one chord is a perpendicular bisector of another chord, then the first chord is a diameter. So in your circle off to the right, sketching chord S cube. Make it look like it could be the diameter going through the center. Then have chord TR intersecting with it at a right angle. The intersection is at point P. So if chord TR is a perpendicular bisector with the diameter, then I know that, or SQ, then it has to be the diameter. So in order for me to be able to decide that SQ is the diameter is if you have perpendicular, so if you have right angles, and if you have the bisection. So TP and RP are congruent to each other. This theorem is not used as much as 10.5, which is kind of the converse of it. Okay, because usually I'm not checking, well, is that the diameter? Usually I'm like, well, here's the diameter. What does that give me? So theorem 10.5 says if you already have the diameter of a circle and it is perpendicular to a chord, then the diameter bisects the chord and its arc. So if you had diameter EG, and I know it's a diameter because it goes through the center of the circle, and I have chord FD intersecting the diameter at point H, and it's perpendicular. So I know I have a diameter because it goes through the center. I have another chord that's intersecting it that is perpendicular, and if that's the case, then I know that this, oops, not in highlighter mode, this will be congruent to this. So FH will be congruent to DH. I also will then have congruent arcs. Arc FG will be congruent to arc GD. So again, you have a whole bunch of congruent things happening. Okay, so if we look at the second example, it says use the diagram of circle C to find the length of BD. Is AG a diameter? Yes or no? Yes. How do I know it is? Goes through the center. Perfect. Do I have a chord that's perpendicular to the diameter? Yes. So that theorem then tells us that it bisects the chord, meaning that this is the same as this. So what is the length from F to B? 10. So what's the length of B to D? 20. Good. Don't make it any more complicated than that. Okay. Now let's throw some algebra back into our lives. Is BD a diameter? Yes, it goes to the center. Do I have a chord that's perpendicular? Yes. So because it's perpendicular, I know that this is congruent to this. Well, that doesn't really help me out because I don't have anything happening there. But I also know that the arcs are bisected, so this arc would be congruent to that arc. So what would I do with those two algebraic expressions? Set them equal. So 9x is equal to 80 minus x. Adding x to both sides gets 10x is equal to 80. X is equal to 8. But I'm not told to just solve for x. I'm told to find measures of arcs. So CD is up here. What's 9 times 8? 72. So that arc's 72. So CD is 72 degrees. What's DE? 72 degrees. What's C to E? 144, 72 plus 72. So 72 plus 72, which is 144 degrees. Okay. Questions with that one? All right, and then the last theorem for this section, theorem 10.6 says, in the same circle or in congruent circles, two chords will be congruent if and only if they are equidistant. Remember, that's just a fancy word for equal distance. If they're equidistant from the center. So over here in our diagram, we have chord CD, chord AB. If those chords are the same distance, how do we measure distance? Well, the shortest distance between two lines and a point is the perpendicular distance. So if this distance is the same as that distance away from the center, so is EG the same as FE? If that's the case, then we know that we have congruent chords. Okay? So again, you're going to have a whole bunch of things to set equal to each other. The only way that they will be equal is if you have the perpendicular and equal lengths. Okay, that's how we check distance. So if we look at this last example, we need to find the length of CU. Do you have congruent chords? Yes, so since I have congruent chords, that means that the distance that that chord is away from the center is going to be the same as the distance that that chord is away from the center. So what am I going to do with these guys? Let them equal. So 2x equals 5x minus 9. Subtract 5x from both sides. Negative 3x equals negative 9. X is equal to 3, but I'm not done because I need to find the length of CU, which would be what? 6. Good. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay?